I just wanted to ask if you had to do a tryout to be accepted into the power plant.
I did. You had to go down there to the power plant. They had, I don't know if you guys remember old school wrestler, Pistol Pez Watley.
Nah.
No, sorry.
That guy, he back in the NWA days. He was pretty popular, man. If you ever get a chance to look him up, he actually passed away. I think he had a heart attack or something. But Pez, man, he was a great guy. There was Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. I don't know if you get that. We're going back old school. You guys probably. How old are you guys? 21, 20?
I'm actually 33, so that's a huge compliment. Thanks, Allan.
I got you. Well, I'm 49. People say I don't look like I'm 49, but other people say I look like I'm 69. So I don't know where to go.
What was the tryout like when you did the tryout?
Oh, dude,
that must have been crazy.
I want to say I had to pay $200 or $250, whatever. So I had to fly down to Atlanta. I had to get my own rent a car and hotel, and it was supposedly a 3-day tryout. Hundreds and hundreds of guys that tried out for this place. And I don't know if you've watched the history of pro wrestling and all them, those horror stories you saw, like on some of the shows at the time were doing like Joe London come down there and a few other, like I said, the history of pro wrestling, it's on that. And if you watch that video, the brutality of the WCW Power Plant was actually it looked bad on TV, but it was worse when you were actually going through it. You do 500 squats, Hindu squats a day. They'd kick your ass. There was actually a guy that shit his pants trying to crawl to the door. They kept grabbing him by his feet and dragging him back in. There was a wrestler down there named Chase Tatum that actually speared somebody through a wall.
Whew.
He actually speared the guy, and they went through a wall. Luckily, they didn't hit the 2x4s. They went right through the drywall, which, nobody got hurt. But, you just pretty much got your ass kicked. I broke my nose during my tryout. 3 days, there was probably 17 guys, I believe, 17 to 20 guys that started the first day I was there. By the end of the shit, within a couple hours, there was only 3 of us left. That's how bad it was. And then towards the end, I was the only guy that made it. But they want to see if you got heart. They want to try to make you quit. They want to do things that try to break you. And we had guys come through there that were in boot camp for Marines, Army. They said they'd rather go through boot camp than go through that again for 3 days.
Wow. I've heard a lot of stories about Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. Obviously, that's why he's called Sarge, because he's almost like a drill sergeant.
He was worse.
What was your relationship like with him during those times when you were just starting out there? Obviously, he's very tough.
Well, I'm sure I speak for all the guys that went through there. And all the guys that made it through there when I was there was like obviously, I wasn't in the same class that he was in, but I don't know. You remember Chuck Palumbo? He went through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was John Huger, which is Johnny Stamboli, the Bull. Let's see who else. Sonny Siaki actually went through it. He was in TNA. He never went to WWE. You had Elix Skipper. Probably going to forget a couple of guys. Rick Cornell, which was Reno. He was in the Natural Born Thrillers. Mike Sanders as well. He was the leader of the Natural Born Thrillers. We all pretty much had the same relationship with Sarge. We loved him and we hated him. He was just doing his job, but man, I tell you what, even after we got through the power plant and then Paul Orndorff come down and took it over, and then we moved to the new facility WCW opened up, and every day, man, we had to be there at 8 o'clock. They kicked our asses. It was kind of like a dojo, and Paul wanted to make it kind of like a Japanese dojo where, you'd have to mop the floors, sweep the ring, sanitize it. You had to, do everything the young boys used to do over in Japan, which probably still do. But, it was a boot camp atmosphere, and you got your ass kicked every day, and it wasn't a joke.
Another question that I had, now that you speak of that, is, what would be the typical day-to-day routine be as someone at the power plant? Did you have a job on the side and you had to also fit that in as well? Or were you there from 8 o'clock in the morning until, the late afternoon?
Yeah, at the old power plant where I first started, it was a shithole. There was rats in there, bugs. It was a dirty, filthy place. And then they had 4 rings set up in like an old warehouse. It was just dirty and dusty. And then once Paul Orndorff took it over and we moved it into the main WCW offices, and that's basically where all the all the secretaries and lawyers and all that, and J.J. Dillon, Paul Orndorff, everybody had an office over there. it was real clean. It was first class facility. I don't know if you've seen pictures of it online.
Yeah.
They had 4 rings set up, huge place, real clean. We kept it clean, had a great weight room, had a locker room upstairs, showers, whereas the old place had like 1 shower, and it was, you were afraid to take a shower in there. You thought you'd get lockjaw or some shit,
So you'd be there all day, basically.
Yeah, well, down at the old power plant, most of us had jobs because we didn't have a contract at that point. Once Paul Orndorff came in, we had to actually match up. They matched us up with people. I got a match with, I think, Elix Skipper, and we wrestled a tag team match against Kid Romeo, and I can't remember who else. And it was pretty brutal, man. You'd sit there in front of like Jimmy Hart, Paul Orndorff, Sarge, and then a few other office people. And if you didn't have a good match, they tell you to hit the door, man. I mean, it was pretty brutal. And if you had a good match, you're kind of like, shit, I don't know if that was good or bad or whatever. And, you don't have an audience. You're trying to put on a good match in front of people. It was a real tense situation. A lot of guys couldn't handle that situation. But, the guys that did make it, like the Chuck Palombos, me, Reno, Mike Sanders, and John Huger and Elix Skipper, the guys that made it, they offered us contract. Then we moved to the new facility, so we had a contract, so we didn't have to have a job. That wasn't our job.
That's awesome.
Right.
It must have made things a lot easier for you.
Oh man, it took a lot of stress off you, that's for sure.